So following CDIO will meet your accreditation. I don't think there's any accreditation program in the world that you can't meet with a well-operated, well-documented CDIO program. CDIO is an exceptional program. And probably, if you're here, your program should already be accreditable. So you've got a high-quality program, and it meets and addresses the objectives of all of your stakeholders because you've been doing the CDIO process. So the challenge is one of documentation that actually demonstrates that your program is as good as you already know it is. And when you're doing that demonstration, you have to satisfy an audit process. Typically, a visitor is going to come and they're going to check to make sure that your program actually does meet the challenges. And so here we're going to try to model that process and find the undocumented value you've already got in your curriculum to meet your accreditation requirements. Even if the requirements, the way they're expressed, has changed, odds are your program is still a good program. So typical process, you build a huge document, prepared in advance, you send it off, they review it, you accumulate a room full of stuff that they're going to audit you on, most of which nobody will ever look at. And the accreditation team comes, visits, verifies, and tests by asking you to show me where is this particular outcome in that particular course, and did all the students get it? And the program representatives respond to any concerns that come up in that audit process. So what I'd like to go through is, for phase one of this workshop, do some curriculum mining. So if you're mostly in groups now, if you could be in groups roughly by your accreditation regime. So try to sit with somebody from your own country or from your own regional area based on the accreditation you do. So I'll just give you a couple of moments to shift around into groups of about 3. Oh, why don't we put ABAT over there with Rob, because Rob and Bob is, we've got some Canadians back there, so some CEAB elements here. And how many people actually did the advanced prep from the email I sent out? Okay, good. That was what I was expecting. So what we're going to do is pick an accreditation requirement, detail some tiny part of an attribute, and follow back and look for where in the CDIO syllabus and finally where in your own curriculum you might find ways to satisfy that requirement, and identify nearby undocumented outcomes from activities that might also address that. I'm just going to go through a quick example here. Documents you need but probably don't have, but you need to be able to do some mapping. And for an example, are we shuffling around still? Okay, one example from the new CEAB attributes that we're trying to meet is in communication skills. Oh, you're going back there? Okay. In communication skills, it has a list of a bunch of the things that we've always expected to see in communication requirements, but also finally down at the end here is a detail that says our students are expected to be able to give and effectively respond to clear instructions. And that's not something that's really easy to find in the CDIO, in the CDIO syllabus, and it's not something that we've had in our requirements previously either. So if we're looking to find ways to satisfy that detail, then following through our mapping tells us that we should be looking somewhere in one of these two categories. If we go that a little further to the lower levels, we still don't find any testing, any giving and acting on instructions. And at the fourth level, we still don't have a good, strong match. So we really need to go not just back to the CDIO syllabus, but back into our related course material. In the course material, you'll probably have a matrix something like this for individual outcomes from individual courses. And I happened to teach a course that said, compose clear, precise, sequential description of events or instructions. In one of the courses I taught this year, this is not an accident because I actually had that attribute in hand before I had to set the outcomes for the course. The other things that we find are that also in our lab courses, which do have a communications component, they probably have something related to instructions that we may need to create a new outcome within our CDIO structure so that we can capture that for accreditation. So what I'd like you to do now in your groups is try to identify something and come up with a supportable basis for how you're going to justify to the accreditors that you're meeting that particular detail. So take about 5 minutes now and see if you can track down. And here are the various attributes. Yes, Brian? You're going to pick one little tiny detail out of one of these attributes and figure out how your particular curriculum satisfies that little detail of the attribute. So imagine you're going to face the auditors on that detail. So we might split you people into two tables and have one small group on one side addressing one and one group addressing another detail.
Canadians like to work together. We're very cooperative.
That's how we do.
Okay.
You should know that, right? you and Frank see eye to eye on how to move forward with all of this?
We're working on it. I think we're getting closer.
Like as Rick was saying,
a relative measure.
Like if you can go down to the fourth level very easily, but it's hard to go from
the map? The map is coming back up.
Your name, course, and task, and what is it before these? So
Oh, the one with the matrix for the course, for my courses?
Before you started with these.
Yeah, and what about it?
I would like to write in that table you have there.
Okay, well, it doesn't look like anybody needs those particular ones anymore. That one? Okay. So which detail are you trying to come up with support for?
Actually, we are thinking that what is the European accreditation, the connection between the EURACE and these accreditations, as this is more acute for us.
Okay.
To think about the trying to do. I'm just trying to start about doing that same kind of tracking within EURACE and CDIO. So but we haven't done it yet.
Okay.
And there was the Dieter Heitmann from Berlin, who's also starting and trying to do we have quite a huge European Union program called Eugene, where we have 80 different universities around Europe building together, trying together to find that kind of accreditation system which would match, appreciate the Bologna process of ours, appreciate. So CDIO is actually a newcomer in this field from that perspective. So that's why I'm just...
Okay. So are you looking at a particular requirement within your ACE right now? Trying to make a broader map?
We are just started to discuss that what accreditation would be the one which will be the most important one for us, and we go according to what accreditation. So, yeah, I think we are still quite in the basic.
Okay.
That meaning opening our eyes.
Okay. So you're not looking for detailed evidence right now.
No, we are not looking at that. We are not in that level yet.
Okay. Well, then I'll call on your group to be one of the auditors when we ask the other groups how they're doing with their details.
What is this material? What you have tracking? What you have done according to each of those criteria directly? Is it available somewhere?
It's available in the proceedings. Yeah. All of the tables that are extracted in that presentation are in the paper in the proceedings.
That's right.
And the spreadsheet that actually contains all the information was supposed to be available electronically. However, it doesn't seem to be. If you email me, I can send you a copy of the spreadsheet, so it's easier to break down and move around. I have some somewhere.
Very strong and broad curriculum that apparently prepares you for.
There you
Thank you
go.
very much. Can I please have another one? Thank you.
There.
For each course,
So have you picked a particular
Well, we're arguing on.
detail?
we don't. Can you
Okay, you're
describe
all
what
going to
you're
fail
asking
your
us to do
audit. Pick a detail of one of the graduate attributes and be prepared to justify how one of your programs meets it.
But we have a difficulty because we're all implementing these differently.
Okay, so
We have
pick
no
one
set.
and pick one program
Okay.
and be ready to tell us why your program meets it or doesn't meet it.
Okay.
That should be a challenge.
So how are you doing over here, Peter? Have you got a particular...
Well, what we do is we've got the CDIO standards,
Okay,
and we're looking, these folks are interested in using, there's no local in China or Vietnam.
yeah,
ABET is kind of the international standard. So for example, if they were trying to meet the criteria for curriculum in ABET, they would go over to, and this is the rubric for curriculum. And so if they document that,
Yeah, we document that and try to see what matches.
and that provides the information for ABET.
okay, so have you
That's the
picked a
crosswalk.
particular part of ABET, a particular...
We're just doing an overview.
Yeah, okay,
Just here.
doing some overview.
Yeah.
Engineer, we cannot have that document like AIC, we can use that. And then for mechanical engineer, we can use it.
ABET. So kind of, because they're just familiar with
Okay.
with the
Okay,
yeah, just to see how they mesh.
Then like can you one like mapping to see
Yes. Right, you
Yeah.
have to map them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's included and what's not.
We just don't have our own. Try to follow the same approach.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. Area of process systems, risk management. That's for risk management.
So
It's gone down to those.
do you have a particular detail you're going to justify that your program at this point?
Looking at critical thinking here in
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from chemical engineering, so I have this Institute of Engineering Australia, but that's already done. Duncan did some work into that, and you did as well. But our other accreditation body is the Institute of Chemical Engineering, which is UK based. And what we've done, a little bit what you did in the big slide, so taking the CDIO syllabus and mapping with the alchemy, see where they correspond if by descriptional alchemy, and then going to the next level and see which one is fit. And same like you know, is that it's not just that goes there, that goes there. So two from here, they can match that and so on. So I just looked at the second one, professional and CDIO. Personal and professional skills and attributes with system thinking and personal skills and attributes as a subset, and how they match the alchemy description. And if I have to look at the unit outline in risk management, one unit, so they were the learning activities and the assessment were designed to fulfill this.
Yeah. So you can follow that back and find the matches.
Hope so.
Yeah, okay. Do you think it would stand up to the editors at this point, or do you need more time? Probably need more time. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to run with that because I think that's the lesson of this workshop. Okay, at this point I was going to get to phase 2 in the workshop if I had more time, and I'm getting the sense that a lot of you are finding that phase 1's a bigger job than we might have thought. Phase 2 was going to be pairing up your groups. How many people think they can justify their curriculum if their accreditation visitor walked up to their group table right now?
not without the room full of documents.
Okay, well, we'll allow you to refer to fictional documents, but if I walked over right now and said, David, can you tell me why your program meets the requirement you've picked?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so that's fun. Anybody else who could do that? You think you're ready? Okay. We're supposed to wrap up in just a couple of minutes, so I don't think we're going to get through this part, but I'd like those of you who aren't ready to reflect on what it is you think you need still to be able to answer questions for an auditor, for your accreditation visitor, in a way that will get the program your accreditation.